Okay, so we're going to turn a fully lined jumper now for the hem. We're going to go ahead, and this is where our opening is for turning later. So to keep our orientation, what we're going to do is pin these down the way they should look when they're done, right? That's how we want them to look. So we're going to pin that. That is going to be our, let's call it a landmark. Now we're going to reach in and we're going to turn this. It's going to look like a mess. And you might think, why can't we turn this from the hem edge? And maybe we could, but every time I try it, it doesn't work. So we're not going to do that. Now here is our landmark. Do you recognize that? Okay. So therefore, if we start there, I'm going to carefully take that pin out and put it right back in. Our right sides are together. And we're just going to work our way around. Generally on this step, I do think it's better to have the right side or the outside of the jumper on the underside as you sew. So my pins need to be on the lining side. So I'm going to go ahead and find the other side seam, line them up because those two landmarks are not negotiable. All right. Pinning is your friend when it comes to this step. Assuming you can get the pin to go through that. We use bed sheets and they're a little tricky. Now I do tend to like to let the lining be just a little bit longer than the jumper because when we turn this right side out, we would like the lining to pull the fabric of the outer jumper into the inside so that you don't see the white lining sticking out below when they're wearing them. Because we put white lining on everything. Don't get it too far or you're going to find that the measurement isn't right and then you have trouble. Okay, now notice I have this little infinity hole. I have to go into that hole to do the other side, and if you don't have an infinity hole like that, you have gone wrong, and I would just recommend turn everything back the right way out and start over. You have to have this infinity hole. Trust me on that. Because if you don't have it now, you're going to have it when you're all done. And that's hard to wear. Okay, I'm going to move my pin cushion. All right, a couple more pins and we will have arrived. Once I get them pinned, I'm going to see if I can hold it up and just walk our way around it. Hopefully that will make it seem like less of a mess. I don't know. Not really. I don't know if you can see that on the video, but you can see I can put my hand through. It's like a donut. It's just part of the process, so it's okay. Just trust it. If you started out, like I said, by making that landmark pin right below the opening, and then if you just followed those raw edges all the way around, there's no way you can go wrong. So we're not going to do any back stitching on this, and the reason is if you've gone wrong, you can at least dig your way back out again without making a hole, because it won't be hard to seam rip. Okay, here we go. And truthfully, for this seam, you could use a more relaxed stitch. So if you wanted to do something like 10 stitches to the inch, the only reason I would recommend it is in case you have to rip it out. Until you get really comfortable doing this particular step, you're probably going to have to rip it out a time or two. And if you don't, well then I'm going to feel bad because I had to. Every now and then I still have to. Last week, in fact. I thought it was so clever I had figured out a new way to do it, which of course led to me ripping it out and doing it the old way. This, even though it's crazy and a little confusing, it definitely beats doing these like by hand or having two separate hems, which leaves the jumper open. If you do that, then you need to finish all the interior seams, and as you can see on our jumper, we did not have to do that. We simply used a straight stitch machine. We didn't serge anything. This one serged, but that's the original seam off of the bed sheet. Nothing we did. Or pillowcase, I guess. I like this project because it doesn't depend on having a serger. And I think the look of a fully lined jumper that's totally enclosed is really professional looking. Very nice. Now what I do, this is where I started. Notice what I'm going to do is just stitch a good couple inches beyond where I started, like that. This is easy to rip if I need to. Let's hope I don't need to. So anyway, do that. Don't backstitch. All right, now let's just see what happens. I'm going to reach back into this turning hole. I'm just going to start pulling stuff out because it has to come back out of there, right? And we'll see what happens. Do we have a jumper or a puff ball? Oh, we have a jumper. Look at that. Now we're going to iron it, and then we'll put buttons and buttonholes on, and we have a garment ready to go.
But you have to set it inside.